Titanic had a band. Alright, see you soon.
Bon voyage.
Enjoy your beers.
I
have one for me.
Are you right, yeah? Unless somebody with shorter legs sat there.
Doesn't matter where I sit.
Oh, I see. I hope you can hear me.
Yes. Especially in the tunnel.
This device doesn't seem to work properly. Anyway, fingers crossed. Concerning the weather, fingers crossed too. I can't guarantee much. This is April. The whims of the weather. This city is Bruges, as we call it, the language spoken here being Dutch. Got the same roots as yours, English. You say ham. So do we. This city was a port, as well as a market town. And the waterways we are taking are the moats, a little river known as Raya. We roll the R's over here. And I wish all 25 of you a wonderful experience. This is our city's smallest bridge. And close to a huge steeple, a medieval rocket, the Church of Our Lady, which is a place to discover a sculpture by Michelangelo, a Virgin and Child of white Carrara marble, along with other works of art, as you can imagine. Have you come from the US?
Yes.
Most of you. Well, this country, which is tiny, is a bit smaller than Maryland, to give you an idea. Yet it's 12 times bigger than Luxembourg. There was always water here before anything was built. The little river, Raya, as we call it here, crossed a very boggy area of quagmire. And brick is the medieval concrete. Notice those ancient buildings, their chimneys for instance, the pitch of the roofs, how sheer. You can imagine those to be thick walls. The whole lot is part of a hospital, the former St. John's. You know, its history spans 8.5 centuries. Turn into a museum, and that too is really worth seeing. Got a bad cold, haven't you? Yes, this weather. Have any of you seen Cambridge? Where people punt on the Cam, the water being shallow. It was also done in the past here, punting. This is fresh rather than brackish water, and fish live in the waters like these, a thing herons and cormorants know. As you might have noticed, the bridges get gradually lower. You don't quite know what to expect next. It's exciting, isn't it?
No.
Are you ready for this? Keep a low profile. There isn't much clearance.
You're gonna lose your hat.
Thanks for mentioning that. The water isn't tidal, fortunately.
Is it a constant level all the time?
More or less. Have you missed it? The next bridge, as you realise, is a bit higher. A relief, of course, to know, isn't it? It's still chilly, isn't it? Nippy. A wonderful place to go and see, I hope you've got time to do that, is the Beguinage or Beguinage. A community in the past of lay sisters. The entrance is found upon that bridge, beyond that tree or shrub. Benedictine nuns live in that haven of peace at the present day. So the entrance upon the bridge over there to starboard. You won't often see as many swans together. They're very territorial. Are known to be monogamous, not monotonous. They were here long before these silly motorboats, as you can expect. Can you smell malt? Yes. There's a brewery behind us. And there is a church. The convent. No, we're not. The church of the convent, there it is. Churches are Roman Catholic here. Don't be afraid, nobody tackles those bridges, well, neither shall we. Not deliberately. They are quite low, that's the first problem. There is, on the other hand, a major obstacle, as you realise, is the lock-keeper's house. And beyond that dwelling lies a wonderful stretch of water which is the Lake of Love. A charming name given to a former tiny inner dock, where the water level is a bit higher. So we'll be turning round this time, there is no other choice anyway, and off to the north of the city. The tiny houses seen there, notice their chimneys, all belong to the convent I mentioned earlier, which, as you realise, the river crosses and vanishes beyond those swans. There's one lock gate left, or sluice gate, as you'll notice. Candles with the horse chestnuts. Blooming wild strawberries.
On the side, wow.
Are you sure you're enjoying this here?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Positive? You're not trying too hard? Well, that's good news. You ought to make this boat trip in the pouring rain or in a snowstorm.
Oh.
Now, these boats are never covered. We sail whatever the weather. Conditions can be challenging, I shall tell you. I've done this before, but it's the first time today. And you too. Notice the duck asleep on the ridge of that roof, and on one leg. Have you ever tried yourself? What an amazing sense of balance. Asleep on one leg. If we think we are clever. Notice chimneys, are those appearing to the left or to port? The shape of chimneys. And that date refers apparently to a restoration. The symbol there, that sculpture, mentions that hands need each other. And there is a brewery. As you've noticed, I'm sure there are no traffic lights, in which case the boat sailing downstream, ours for the time being, has got right of way. We are heading to the North Sea, if you like, that direction. And the bridge seems to be just as low as it was a couple of minutes ago, as though you hadn't noticed. Load of nonsense. Close to each other, those two churches. Remember Our Lady, well in front of us, against those clouds, St. Saviour's Cathedral. That one's organ is awesome. There's a lot more than that though. Now they've all got both, as you realise, a cross as well as a weather vane, a rooster. And when you think how people built all that, at the cost of how many human lives, the moats in this city had a dual purpose: defence, simultaneously waterage, or transportation of freight over the centuries. I reckon houses must be damp according to the vegetation that thrives. However, though, they've been inhabited for centuries, as you can guess. For most of you, your first visit to Bruges?
Yes, no.
You've been before, as the others have. Notice those bay windows that are there, for instance. We might be lucky and discover a little garden, assuming the door is open, just there. It is open. Well, just ajar, I can't see much. And they're busy restoring that mansion. The works will carry on until the end of this year. At least it's being done, that's the main thing. Let's have a look at the way brick, or the whole lot, was built. The masonry, just there, the quality, the craftsmanship. Was any of your houses, as seen over there, built on a bridge?
No.
Having to walk up and down, imagine, from dawn to dusk. It can't be very handy, can it? We'll have a look at the bridge, a place where it hasn't rained for centuries. You've got 3 of them to compose it, 3 bridges. The one with its stalactites is the oldest section. The place where the street leaps over the water headens these stalactites, like in caves. Those rings of iron at water level, there are others, were used to moor those shallow drafted vessels sailing here, barges and others. I suppose you're here only for a couple of hours.
Yes.
The gap between the houses, just there, and there are others, is a fire break. Hello, Roy. Now the one follows between house and garden, see? The steps up. Floodings occur, a thing you can't avoid. In that case, for cellars, a major problem. The door of one appears to serve. Most of the cellars are barrel vaulted. Other one follows, just there too, same side. Pansies are hardy flowers. They seem to smile. They've got a little face of their own, haven't they? That's your name. Hello. Everybody knows you. Isn't it nice? The tree isn't dead at all. It will be wonderful by May. That weeping beech. Have you got one of those in your garden? No. Weeping beech. Just starting to bud. About to leave is boat number 13. Would you trust it?
Yes.
Rubbish. Now have a look at the whole lot there, which I've just finished renovating. The former guild's house of the tanners. Those are Mexican daisies, the little flowers. And notice those arches, those relieving vaults. That's the staircase. Almost 11 o'clock, being Wednesday, there'll be a bell concert starting at 11 o'clock, given from that tower, the belfry, which is a secular building, nothing to do with a church of any kind. The steeple of the cloth hall, but also a watchtower. And the recital that you hear next will be live, it's not recorded. Somebody plays the carillon as you would play an organ with fists and feet, you see. But there's the belfry on the main square. And the wall here next to us reminds me of the bow of a ship, doesn't it? I like those yellow pansies. They seem to smile more than the people queuing, don't they? Although I thought they were on holiday. Have you noticed?
Yeah.
Now something else, that bridge bears a very sad name known as Blind Donkey. I don't know why the name there remains a riddle. Would you know what tie bars are for? Those incidentally compose a date. There's numerals 1, 6, middle 8 being tie bars.
It stabilizes.
That's the idea, to tie the walls together. And those are dovecots, designed ages ago for carrier pigeons. The former courts have been there, as you can tell, for centuries. You've got bricks of about every size and colour. Have you met my mother-in-law? We get on ever so well. By the way, the door of that cellar being open, have a look at the vault. Well, you can't see much of it, but guess it, it's over. You see the vault of that cellar. Geoffrey Chaucer, who wrote the Canterbury Tales, once came to Bruges. He might well have crossed that bridge, knowing Geoffrey died in 1400. Before that, he had drawbridges which were made of timber. And when was that ring used for the last time? Or the one over there? Look at the flowers, the clematis. The little garden too, tiny orchard. A romantic gazebo was there. Look at that drake on the wall there. And you've got some tiny houses in Bruges, little dwellings that those were built, as it seems, for dolls. If one of those were your house, would you sell it? Not many, as you can imagine, are on the market. The lilac blooming, and look at that couple dancing a tango there on that locked vault with a fresco. There's a lot to take in. What's a half hour for a city like this? There are never many people here. One of the few, one of the churches I'm trying to say, which few people know, is St. Anne's appearing over there with its warped spire. It really is most attractive. You'll find a lace centre close to that church, but there are also windmills. That's on the east side of Bruges. The tie bars of that former abbey, on the people walking, are very ornate. They were nailed to beams, to huge oak beams, though tie bars and timber tie hold the walls together. They separate the stores in the buildings and they are just at old distance. Menacing skies. The church seen there is St. Trollberger, appearing in front of us St. Giles. And all over the place, the Croat step gables. There was no lack of inspiration, was there? Little faces appear, as well as arched slots, for instance, too. Recobbling, as you notice. Good old cobblestones. I suppose in old cities in America you find cobblestones, don't you? I suppose you do, don't you? Yeah, or Boston, Philadelphia maybe. We're about 14 kilometres away from the North Sea, that direction. 19 roughly from our Dutch neighbours, same way next door. On the scaffolding. Again, it's lazy thing. They've just finished renovating those empty houses beyond the scaffolding. There was a crane standing up there until about a fortnight ago. The last barges are seen sailing here in the mid-1950s. Another ring over there, and on the opposite side a few more appear too. I suppose you realise this city was never sacked by any war. Call it a miracle. It was never rebuilt either. Thank goodness for that. The river went on, flowing where you found a street instead, towards the left as far and even beyond the market. What looks like a church with that steeple there was known as the Palace of the Burgesses, where the influential citizens met, but as nowadays it's part of the government archives. The statue of Jan van Eyck, or Eyck as we say, meaning oak, was the painter of the Mystic Lamb, a contemporary of Chaucer's. The three flags are those of the former toll house. This is a living museum, isn't it? In such as, for instance, the little reverse hearts you can see in front of us, you see what I mean? Or those caterpillars, kind of snakes, made of brick. It was not achieved with the help of lasers, of course, no, I'm afraid not. Oodles of loving care, well that's the answer to all the whole lot. And the statue on the corner of the ancient house is that of the Blessed Virgin, our city's patron saint. Doesn't look very promising, does it? The winter of 2013, 4 years ago, was quite cold. Some people were skating here. And the whole lot, covered in snow, was magical. But it's surprisingly cold to be almost May. do agree. No pattern to the weather. Another statue of the Blessed Virgin appears between those vans in a niche. In that case, as a mother nursing her child and holding her left foot on a little foot warmer. It can be quite nippy sitting there. We are not on the Bahamas, have you noticed? No, not quite, are we? That is not my house, so no, what a pity. No point in whinging, that one there, no. It's also in private hands. The little street that follows beyond the lantern is a mere country lane. It's windy and narrow, as most of Bruges streets are. And then a very proud statue on the corner of a house of both Mum and Queen. There is a weather vane on top of a gable over there to the left or to port. Represents an architect. You see? In this country you're only seeing Bruges, aren't you? Only here.
No, Antwerp.
And
Antwerp yesterday.
And Antwerp too, I see
Yesterday.
there, yeah. And that was hit twice. I mean, First and Second World War. A lot, of course, a lot. Hard to imagine there was a factory there until the mid-1970s. Little park instead. And a millstone or two. Notice the bear in that niche over there between flagpost and lantern. Our little friend Teddy is Bruges Stewart on mascot, is he? A coot. I suppose you can imagine this at night, floodlit, to turn into a fairy tale, a thing of beauty. It's got nothing to do with a kind of Disneyland, has it? The glorious clematis, for as long as it'll last. At the side break, the gap, the little park between the gardens. And that's a perfect hiding place at night for birds, the ivy. Have a look at that skyline. One of those elements, for instance, over there to the left, the wheel, you see that doorway. Effective, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the freight they shipped in the past was stored in cellars. Nothing much went up into attics, but a very few hoists noticed here. I wouldn't mind seeing the fish market in Athens. It's not frightfully interesting, is it? Have a look at that drain pipe over there. London, as you know, went up in smoke. A lot of houses were then made of timber, such as those. That's oak. Brick, though, doesn't burn, as we all know. Instead of thatch roofs, as there were in the olden days, you'd mostly find pan tiles. And as winters were very cold in the past, they used peat to insulate the houses. And having a jolly time, those two would leapfrog, a thing to do on the Wednesday morning. Oh. Isn't it tempting? I like the two crooked chimneys appearing in front of us. It seems as though the bricklayers building those might have been sloshed. Or was it very bracing? Anyway, it tends to happen here too. There's so much more to observe, such as, for instance, that nifty little balcony. Imagine Romeo and Juliet. I think the lampshades come from IKEA, personally. Red is one of my favourite colours, as it happens. Well, this little experience, it didn't rain so far, is drawing to a close. I've brought you back alive with only 2 available life belts. There's also one for you. Well, I hope this refreshing stroll was worth it, as well as the information. If you like, it has been a custom here too for donkey's years. A gratuity or a tip is welcome. It's meant part of our livelihood for decades. And thank all of you indeed. I wish you a cracking time in Bruges. There's so much more to take in. Go and warm yourselves up somewhere. Enjoy your cruise. A safe and sound return back home. Thanks for your visit. Take care of yourselves. And cheerio.
Thank you.
My pleasure, don't mention it. Please keep hands inside the boat on either side. And this time I'll shut up. Like my mother-in-law. She's worth her weight in gold. It's due north. You see the weather vane there? The couple.
How tall is that tower?
I think in feet about 380. One of those medieval rockets, as I call it. It's an astonishing achievement for those days, anyway.